Hi everyone, it's me, Crafty Witch. Welcome back to my channel. My hair is a bit of a mess. It's bugging me because it needs to be cut and it's kind of starting to hang into my eyes. So anyway, I just want to follow up with the video that I made last night about the rose water. So I wound up with about just over 3 pints of rose water from last night, and mine came out extremely potent, very, very dark. You cannot see through it. It looks like dark purple. A lot of people, when they make rose water, will only use like 7 roses, and they have a very light rose colored water in the end. Mine is like, she's potent, she's pretty dark, but it's all good. But because I didn't know if mine were organic or not, I washed them really good thoroughly with lukewarm water. I washed like every single petal, and then I boiled them. As you saw, they just simmered. But anyway, I won't be using the rose water that I made this time internally or topically because I don't know if they've been sprayed with chemicals. And despite the fact that I washed them very well, I still don't want to take that chance. But that's just me. You might feel differently, and whatever floats your boat, go for it. So I would recommend, though, if you wanted to use it topically or internally, that you use edible roses. And you can buy those. I know Amazon sells them. Sometimes they're pretty expensive. I think I got a small pack. I don't know how much. I think it was about 20 bucks for like a small little pack of edible roses. So you could use that as well. And some people, there's so many different ways to make it. Some people will literally just put the rose petals like in a bowl and pour like 2 cups of boiling water over top them and just let them sit like that for about 10 minutes and then drain them, strain them, and away you go. So that's all up to you. What else can I tell you? Some people, after they make them, will dilute them with things like witch hazel or vodka or some type of alcohol, perhaps rubbing alcohol. Again, that's up to you. Just remember that if you dilute it with, say, witch hazel or alcohol, you've changed kind of like the magical intent of the rose water, so it will be changed because you've added something, well, like witch hazel, for example. So you just want to be careful about that. Not saying that you can't still use it, you can, but it might change. The compound obviously will be different. What else can I tell you? When you take the rose water out and you put it into your sterilized jars, you will see some oil on top, and that's totally normal. That's the oil from the petals, and that's fine. Don't think that it's bad or anything like that. If you don't preserve it somehow, it will go bad, and if you just leave it out on the counter for a week or so, it might go bad. And some people will keep it in their fridge, and it might last up to 2 weeks in the fridge. However, if you take your plain rose water and you let it cool and you pour it into ice cube trays and then you freeze that, and then take your ice cubes out, put them into a Ziploc bag, make sure you have it marked rose water ice cubes or something, then that way you can make a batch of it and it will last you a fairly long time because you've just frozen the excess and you just take out what you need as you need it. So that's one way to help preserve it. What else can I tell you about kind of like the preserving? Yeah, make sure you use a sterilized jar to pour it into. Hey, Chansey, my kitty cat's come to visit. Yeah, so there's that. Now for the uses, the magical uses that I use it for, yeah, you can use it for love. That's kind of the typical all go-to use that people think of when they think of roses, but they're also excellent for protection, and that's one of the reasons I love rose water. So it's excellent form of protection, and if you make that rose water and you infuse it maybe with some of the thorns from the roses, that's perfect. You can add it to sage water and use that to sprinkle around the outside of your home clockwise as a form of protection. You can leave it on your altar as an offering. You can pour it into the ground as an offering. You can use it to anoint your third eye when you're doing any type of divination work. You can use it to wash your crystal ball. You can use it to seal your scrying mirrors. Roses are a very powerful form of protection. So I love using roses in different ways in that regard. You can make like a rose tea and drink that if you want protection. It's also good in exorcisms. It's good for spiritual protection. It's also good for working with self-forgiveness or forgiving others, for working through any kind of guilt issues you might have. It's really good in that regard. If you identify as being a Christian witch, it's great for connecting with the Virgin Mary. What else? If you make love altars, you can put it on your altar and put it in a bowl or something, and it could be used to represent love, of course. So health, beauty, healing is another use for rose water. It's great for healing as well. On a mundane level, you can use it as a skin toner. It's good for acne, different types of skin issues. Even people with really sensitive skin have found comfort using rose water in that regard. And of course, anything that is used on a mundane level, you can, with magical intent, incorporate into your magical working. It's good for the hair, for the scalp. A lot of people will massage it into their scalp. They'll rinse their hair with it. It helps to stimulate hair growth, apparently, when you massage it into your scalp gently. But it's really good. And like I said, any use that you can think of on a mundane level, you can incorporate that into your magical working. You could take cotton rounds and soak them in rose water, and then you can freeze them and then put them on your eyes, and oh man, I'm telling you, that feels so good. Now that's on a mundane level. If you want to incorporate that same technique, you can also incorporate that into your magical working. And like I said, it's great for working with divination. You take those same cotton rounds that have been soaked, put in the fridge or in the freezer, and then you put them on your eyes to help you see clairvoyantly, kind of thing, with your eyes. So those are all different ways you can use rose water, both on a mundane level and on a magical level. So great for exorcisms, great for protection, great for working through guilt, forgiveness issues, self-love, excellent for health and healing. Yeah, so rose water, wonderful stuff. You can also make different types of elixirs. You can add different gemstones to it. You can also add additional types of essential oils into it. You can switch it up. You can make your own toners. You can do all kinds of stuff to it. You can make a tea out of it. You can drink that. You can add it to your bath water. You can mix it with sage water and add it to your bath water. Give yourself like a sponge bath with it. It's very protective in that regard. And if you do that, again, start from the head and go all the way down to your toes. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to have on hand. Like I said, you can mix it in with alcohol to help preserve it and make it last longer. Also store it in your fridge, even though you've mixed it with alcohol, just to preserve that shelf life. If you can't do that, then don't mix it with alcohol and go and freeze it in the ice cube trays, and you can have it on hand for when you need it. So that is my spiel on rose water and the different ways you can use it, and I think it's an excellent thing to always have on hand. So that's it for now. Thank you for putting up with my rambling. Love you guys. Ciao.